So tell me about music. What is it that's kind of driving you today? Tell me about your search for music. Tell me about your struggles with us crazy audiophiles and our really terrible taste in music.
You'll notice by now that whenever you go to a show, a lot of the time, sometimes audiophiles are saying that Gary is playing all sorts of weird stuff.
Yellow.
Yellow, for example. I mean, I was the first guy, I probably was one of the first guys to play Yellow. I was probably one of the first guys to play Chris Jones in a show. Like I told you earlier, I tell people I'm a full-time music lover and a part-time audiophile. I listen to everything, from Shostakovich to Swedish House Mafia. You know, and the reason for that is I love this industry of music. A lot of my joy, a lot of my de-stressing comes from being able to sit down and listen to some music. And that's where a lot of the joy from doing this job comes from. Part of my job is really to look for music that I can introduce to my customers, my dealers, and my friends. And since audiophile music, Patricia Barber, Diana Kroll, I've got nothing against them, I don't listen to those at all. If you look, this is something that I tell a lot of my dealers. Check out Google Analytics. Google is a very smart company. They analyze music popularity through the ages. And on one of the pages, you can actually see how Google has analyzed the popularity of jazz and not classical music, but jazz, pop, and whatever. They draw a timeline graph of all music through the ages. In the 50s and up to 1963, jazz was 70% of music being played. Today, jazz is 2%. Gospel music is 3%. You know, so if you start thinking like that, if a random guy walks into a hi-fi show, no, random guys won't walk into hi-fi shows. If a random guy walks into the Main Street dealer, and the dealer says, "Oh, I'll play something for you to try and impress the guy," and he puts on a piece of jazz or audiophile music, female vocals is actually slightly less than jazz. It's about 1.5%. But if he puts on a piece of audiophile music, he's likely to turn the guy off, especially if the guy is not an audiophile. If he puts on Swedish House Mafia, which is EDM, electronic dance music, he's got a 17% chance of turning that guy on. You know, if he puts on Infected Mushroom, that's great. Yellow, for example. Why not play this music that people actually love? Indie music, indie rock, electronic dance music, rap and hip hop make up 73% of music that's being listened to.
That's a shame.
Yeah. Audiophiles? No. There's a lot of wonderful music. There's a lot of wonderful music in all those categories.
I find that, you know, it's harder and harder to keep up, and I'm sure this is simply me getting old, but I got into jazz after I got into audio. So it kind of was an egg after the chicken, right? Yes. But I have found that moving into this, there's this kind of culture of musical kind of circularity, and that, you know, you play the same songs over and over again. Yeah. I'm sure, you know, going to an audio show, you have to leave to get a cup of coffee to come back to your room, yeah, and you're going to hear the same 5 songs as you walk down the hall and then back, yes, right? Do you think this is something that we're, you know, doing to ourselves, or should we be, you know?
I think it's something we do to ourselves.
I think there's this idea that audio, that we're here for the music. Yeah. But are we?
That's the problem I find with a lot of customers that walk into audio stores, and a lot of these guys that populate the forum, a lot of these guys that are in the stores, in the dealerships, and the manufacturers and the designers themselves. You know, they think that perfection is being able to play Rebecca Pigeon and being able to hear whatever detail they hear out there. If I listen to Rebecca Pigeon singing that song Spanish Harlem one more time, I'm going to throw up. It's just not. You know, I've had rooms. People come into my room at a show and they request for Rebecca Pigeon. I say, I don't have Rebecca Pigeon, and they ask me, what do you have? And I say,
Swedish House Mafia.
No, Swedish House Mafia is not akin to Rebecca Pigeon. So at the last show, I played Lord. At CES, I played Lord on vinyl, and everybody was going, why are you playing that? I've never heard that before. The market seems to want to measure systems with the music they are familiar with. So the systems get designed so that they can perfectly reproduce, unfortunately, only the music that the designer listens to or the audiophile listens to. So it plays Patricia Barber perfectly well. I've got nothing against Patricia Barber. Every time I go to Chicago, I go and listen to her live. Have you heard her live?
No, I haven't.
She's far better live than on the recording. Believe me.
Fair enough.
You know, so when you talk about amplifiers not being able to drive some loudspeakers, Scott, you listen to rock. You know, give me a break. If that loudspeaker was designed for jazz trio and maybe a little bit of Patricia Barber, when you play rock, the frequency and power requirements are so different that the amplifier probably couldn't drive it. The designer might not have even known that. This
is, I think, kind of the problem with the audiophile industry. We do seem to be kind of chasing our tail. Actually, that's an interesting thing to ask about. You actually offer products at a lot of different price points, right? Yes. You're speaking to, with even the product that you're standing next to, a product that's customizable to a living space with adjustable tweeter and bass response. That's fascinating, and in fact, it makes sense because not every room is created equal. But you also do that kind of multi-tiered approach. You've got speakers that are extraordinarily expensive,
yes,
and speakers that are not so. Tell me about what you think is happening to the industry. Where are we at? Where are we going? And how much trouble are we in?
We are in a lot of trouble if the industry only caters to audiophiles that are now aging, and a lot of them are now having to live on a fixed income, and their 401ks have become 101ks. You know, as long as we keep targeting that audience, we are going to go the way of the dodo bird. Where we see growth, and lately we've seen actually a lot of growth with turntables. And the reason for that is that actually young people, with the audiophile industry has tended to ignore the MP3 and thinking that the MP3 was killing music. The MP3 is not killing music. MP3 is feeding a huge boom of music lovers. They just don't know how good their music can get. You know, I don't say that MP3 is killing music. I say that MP3 is like baby food for music lovers. Once you get beyond that baby food, once you expose these guys to that, you'll find a huge audience out there. And if you think about the audience out there, you've got in the US, what, 200 million music lovers? Because that's how many iPads and iPods and headphones and all that have been sold. Some of the young music lovers have realized that. Lorde, for example, when I bought her album when it was first released and I played it at CES, you know, nobody knew about it. She won the Grammy. Now everybody wants her music. But if you listen to her CDs and you compare it with a vinyl, the vinyl is far better.
So you think that's actually driving the resurgence in interest in vinyl? They actually sound better? I thought it was just because they're cool.
No. The CDs were large companies don't have the resources to do a mastering for audiophiles, because audiophiles are a tiny portion of the market. But if they master some things for iTunes, which are compressed, because if you're in a car or you're jogging, you know, all the soft parts of music you lose if it's not made louder,
right,
and all the loud parts of music will blow your eardrums in. So you need to compress the music for that audience. But if you are at home and you're listening to an album, then you can leave it uncompressed. So a lot of these artists are beginning to realize that. You saw the blow up on Beck and Morning Phase. Same thing. The MP3 that comes inside that vinyl, that download, was made from a test pressing on a bassist turntable and by Bernie Drummond. So the MP3 that comes free with the vinyl has got better resolution than the high-res that is sold as a download. Lorde did the same thing. She printed 42,000 copies of her album. You know, when audiophile companies print albums, 3,000 and they take 6 years to sell them out. So I see that there is an opportunity if we would only target it.
So I think I need to go buy a Lord on vinyl.
You need to buy a Lord on
I have
vinyl.
I have it on
Great
high res,
album.
and not yet.
Yeah, I've got it. After I bought the album, I didn't realize that yet. I bought the CD. The CD is almost unlistenable to me.
Fantastic.
But the album is fabulous.
Good stuff. All right, excellent.